The Nerd Ledger gets hella depressing. There we go. Perfect. That's what
Yeah.
you should name that episode.
Well, I just started the new one. So for
All
anybody
right, got it.
who's listening to the podcast right now or watching the YouTube video, because it'll be a separate
This is
one.
the
Yeah,
this is the not depressing episode.
this is the Nerd Ledger not depressing episode. We just we started recording our episode. We're still live, but I stopped the recording to make it
So
two
what
videos.
happened was is that we started talking about really depressing stuff, and then we're like, man, we should stop talking about depressing stuff. And then we talked about depressing stuff for 20 more minutes, and then we ended it on a depressing capstone. So now we're starting a new episode that isn't depressing because we want our viewers that are listening to be able to choose between the happy and the sad,
Yeah,
the
we
red
don't want to
pill and the
bore
blue
you for a
pill.
half hour if you don't care about things like what we ranted about and all that stuff. But yeah, so we're here. We're here now. We're here right now to
Mm,
talk about Ahsoka right now. Uh, so we're gonna talk about
yep.
Ahsoka episode 6, which came out yesterday, and I've seen like incredibly positive reactions to this episode online.
Mm,
Like hugely positive reactions, and I'm in a weird place with it, because I don't know if it's that, like, what I think it is I think I was watching this episode within an analytical mind and not so much like allowing myself to enjoy the moments, right? Because like
mm,
for me it's like we knew Thrawn was going to be in this show at some point. So it's not like I was surprised to see Thrawn. We
mm.
knew Ezra was going to be in the show most likely at some point, so I wasn't surprised to see Ezra. And their presence didn't like move me incredibly at all. Um,
Yeah.
but some people, like I've seen people saying it's the best episode of the season. I've seen people saying it's the best episode of anything Star Wars to ever happen. I've seen like
Uh,
crazy reactions.
yeah.
I thought it
I don't
was
know
a
about all
good
that.
episode.
Yeah,
But
same.
like it like and again, I don't know, maybe I'm not allowing myself to enjoy it fully, but like there was nothing to me spectacular about it. There's a lot of things I like everything about the episode. There's so much to like about the episode, but
Yeah.
there's nothing to me that put it over the episode previous to it.
Yeah.
And so like I get it. And we are seeing more of the things we've talked about, like more of Balin's kind of, uh, his end goal a little bit, but not really because it's still a little bit mystery. But we get more context about things. Um, I did like the little intro thing with Ahsoka talking to Huyang about like different things, and then he started this story obviously a long time ago in a galaxy far far away, and then like we never saw them again in the episode, which
Mm,
is interesting, because it is her show.
mhm.
So she got like 5 minutes or less of screen time in this episode, but it happens. It's just like I feel like people who really like certain things, that's what set this apart for them, right? Like it's the first time we've seen actual like Night Sisters in live action, so like that probably like for a lot of people was like, holy shit guys, like look at like Night Sisters doing magic like in live action.
Yep.
Then maybe that like Thrawn again, like it's interesting, like it gives like it's the same voice actor, like it feels like Thrawn, but at the same time it's like he didn't do anything yet.
Yeah.
Right, like yeah, like
Aside from look cool.
right. I mean the
Well,
biggest thing.
I think what you're getting at too is I think they introduced him incorrectly is probably the best way to do that because like for us like I think for everybody when you want to introduce a character to imply that they're powerful you usually have them do some kind of martial conquest. But I think in this case when they wanted to show like Thrawn walking amongst those like different like the stormtroopers look great by the way those
Yeah.
stormtroopers are cool, super badass. But if they wanted to show Thrawn like like just walking amongst like his legions, and I think that was supposed to imply like a sense of power and purpose, and like just make you go whoa. And I
Yeah.
think it fell flat for me a little bit because I've seen that shit before. Like they did it all the time. They do it all the time with the stormtroopers and the walking and stuff like that. But to me, like I just think it's great to have him introduced, and you know, I, yeah, that scene didn't really, you're right. That scene didn't really rivet me. This
Yeah.
whole episode as a whole was actually to me on the slower end, I think
Yeah, I thought it
actually.
was incredibly slow.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think that's also deserved because of the two episodes previous, like we're get in the cockpit. Was that the name of the first episode? And then like, or take flight. And then like the next one was like just lightsaber battles nonstop essentially.
yeah.
And it was, so I think you need those slow episodes to break up the pacing. Like, that's good pacing. You need like episodes where
Well,
there's context and you're recovering from the combat and you're talking about like what's the next step after the combat and all that kind of stuff.
yeah, you got
Not
to
just
build
combat,
for
combat,
the
combat.
final two episodes, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, it's gonna be interesting. Like, and for sure, like again, like there was nothing to dislike about this episode. I just don't like. I don't know. I'm not getting carried away and thinking it's like in, incredible and perfect or anything. Like, it was a good episode.
Mm.
Yeah, and Ezra showed up obviously, and like to me. Oh, sorry again, spoilers for anybody, but that'll
Oh
be in the
yes,
yeah
definitely
yeah
spoiler warnings. It is
yeah.
impossible for Cage and I to talk about any of this stuff without spoiling. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the guy playing Ezra, like, he had the right cadence to his speech, and like he sounded like Ezra. Like, I thought he was doing a good job. But again, I mean, we don't know anything yet, and like
Yeah.
we barely saw him for like 2 minutes on screen. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I like the
And again, I think there are a lot of people. Like yesterday, when they saw that scene of the like, like last week when you saw that scene of the Clone Wars, you're like, wow, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
yeah
Whoa, wow, wow, oh my God. And I think that's because they really, really like the Clone Wars.
yeah, but
But
people act like they've
also,
never seen fucking
yeah,
Tamora Morrison as a clone or something.
yeah. But also, there's a lot of people that really, really like Rebels, like a lot, And
Yeah,
I think just them
yeah.
seeing Ezra live on screen, like, like it broke their brains. And,
Well, then they
just
must have
like
been losing their mind during episode 1 where you got Hera and Sabine, right? Like,
Yeah, yes, they were. That's all they could talk about for 3 weeks.
was it?
Yeah, dude, talk about how good they look in those flight suits.
All right, well, I don't
First
know.
strapping.
Um, but yeah, like it's like I like the episode a lot. I just I don't know. I'm not getting carried away with it. So, yeah, essentially like right, like they again, all right. I don't know how the fuck this map worked, but apparently it led them right to where Thrawn and Ezra landed, which makes sense because the Star Whales took them right. So I appreciate this explanation, right? The Star Whales, the Purrgil, they when they travel through hyperspace between galaxies, that's the planet they arrive at in that galaxy every time, and most of them go there to die, and that's probably why
Mm,
you don't see any Purrgil because all their bones are the ring around the planet, which I thought was pretty
yeah.
cool. But it doesn't really explain why Thrawn has a star cruiser and stayed there. Like, why didn't he go anywhere else? How did him and Ezra get separated? Are we going to learn all this in future episodes? But even then, like, why would he not go anywhere else? I don't get that. But anyway, yeah, we
Well,
find out.
I think he couldn't leave was the most important part.
Yeah, maybe
Too,
his
I
ship
think
can't travel or something like.
yeah, and then too, like that was a Dathomir temple that they rolled up at. So maybe it does make sense that the frickin' map would lead them to that. Because like again, but I don't understand. I don't remember when did he come in contact with the Dathomir, those three witches? Is that something that happened in Rebels?
Uh, I'm pretty sure it probably happened off screen somewhere. I don't remember him meeting some Dathomir witches.
Yeah, and again, I just don't understand like why he's with these witches, and none of that makes any sense. But that doesn't matter, I guess,
Well,
because again, like
maybe it sounded like something was prophesized about him, or they foresaw
I
something
feel
with
like
him.
our opinions are bumping up against our also opinion. We hold that the Dave Filoni is a golden god gift from God that can do anything. So there's that too. Like there's a couple of plot holes like it's been scattered around, and eventually we're gonna start stumbling into them, like one after the other. Like a lot of this. Like a lot, I'm starting to feel like a lot of the things in Ahsoka were done just slowly to appeal to the Clone Wars and Rebels fans, and like that's about it. Like it doesn't like it's cool to see Ahsoka live action, but a lot of this stuff doesn't make any damn sense, and it's cool to see and stuff like that. But it all feels like snipped together little stories so that all his characters could again play in the sandbox. And sometimes that works out for the best, and sometimes it doesn't work out at all. And I don't know. I'm not saying the series as a whole is bad, but I'm saying like together, like it's just a very strange sequence of events. I think is a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, like overall, like again, like there's nothing wrong with this episode. It's just like it didn't feel to me that it had the impact that maybe it had for other people. Like it's still a good episode, and like again, like I like the little wolf dog things, the practical effects they had on those as well. I thought they looked really good. Um,
Mm.
the little snail dudes, snail turtle rock guys. I thought I like those guys too. Like they're cute and like they're fun and like apparently like they know Ezra.
Mm.
Um, what else? I mean, Thrawn was fine. Like I didn't have any problem with him other than like he didn't seem that imposing. Like he didn't have the same air about him. But I guess that comes from something else because I didn't feel like when he was introduced in Rebels he had that much of an air about him either.
Yeah.
Until like later on, where like he's showed more of his prowess is in other areas, but like I mean I got more out of his books than I ever got out of him in any TV or movie. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't know how to put that on screen properly. I don't know. But it's still good to see him. And yeah, I don't know. Like, what else is happening besides that? Like the whole point is, I guess the stuff with Balin and Shin. Like, he talked about like the Boken Jedi, like Jedi, like Ezra as a Jedi who was trained after the fall of the Jedi Order.
Yeah.
And then he's saying like he trained Shin to be something more than a Jedi. Whatever that is, we don't know. But it seems like I don't know. It still seems like he has a different end goal than restoring Thrawn to the other galaxy. Like I know he said that's what he's doing, but it doesn't seem like that's actually what he cares about doing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, again, it's just a very strange, very strange sequence of events. Like, was there communication going on between Thrawn and everybody else? How did Thrawn get this army of stormtroopers? Like, were they just on the ship with him, I guess? How do they know about the
yeah, I
bandits?
was
Like,
wondering about that too.
who are those bandits? Who are the bandits that just end up there? Did they get swallowed by Purrgil and they get spit out there? Like, are there androids? Are there robots? Like, what's going on? Like, again,
Well, my
I
guess is that the bandits were like
this is
inherent
the
to the
thing.
planet, right?
Yeah, this is the thing. Like this whole like the world between worlds, right? When he said like, oh, like there's an interview of Dave Filoni saying that is definitely not like just a him plot fixing device that he uses to fix his plots. I really feel like in this sequence of events, like it kind of was because at the end of the day, any sort of world special planet thing between space and time is just a writer's way of doing whatever they want whenever they feel like it. In which Dave Filoni is a writer, you know, he writes like oh, wow, wow there. From darkness into the light.
Holy,
Now
bro!
we
I just
go. There
wanted to
you
get
go.
some light. It was dark in here, yo.
Now you got as much as you need, brother.
Yeah,
Uh,
I had to turn that shit down. Holy.
yeah, there you go, all the way down. There you go. There, now we can see you. Now we can all those beautiful details. Hold the contours. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm saying like again, like there's just a lot of weird holes that we're falling into. Like it's all cool. That this show follows the rule of cool. Everything looks great. The story is like whatever. Everything looks cool in hell. And is awesome as cool, and everyone's got gold masks and stuff like that. And how long
Yeah.
has Tron been gone? 60 years, 70 years?
Bro, I think
With the
it's been
takeover?
like I think it's been like 5. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Like
Since the fall, yeah, no, I guess because it's right. It's Civil War. The Civil War started at the end of Rebels, right? That's how that worked, or is the Civil War going
yeah.
on during Rebels?
It,
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. So
so
I think it's been like five
again,
and a half years or something. We
yeah,
didn't get that in the episode. I think people are extrapolating that. But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So again, like I just there are a lot of it's weird. I don't know how to describe this because I like the show, but I have a lot of personal issues with it. But I still like it because it's cool, fun Star Warsy stuff. I'm being critical of it in the way that I'm critical of an adult show. But the way this show sometimes feels written is kind of like episodes of the Clone Wars or like, the Rebels, where you're not really supposed to think about these macro things. You're only focusing on like the theme park rail, like, guardrails you're in between as you go through the show. Does
yeah.
that make
I mean,
sense?
maybe, but it also feels like this episode is like a gap bridger almost. Like it's there
Yeah.
to bridge the gap between what happened last episode and what's going to happen next, because
Yeah.
like I'm sure we're going to learn all about Ezra's exile in the next episode, and more about Thrawn's exile in the next episode, because like we really didn't learn much in this episode.
Yeah.
um I
And
mean,
again, like this episode was dedicated to looking cool. Like that's just what this entire it was either dedicated to exposition on what the next combat is going to be, or hey, look how cool Thrawn is with his cool stormtroopers, or hey, look how cool this planet is, or hey,
yeah,
look how cool Ezra's found his little like community of like shell people to be nice to. He found nice
yeah,
people
it's
on this
little
planet.
nomads.
Yeah, he found little nomads to be a part of.
Yeah, I don't know, but like I guess one of the interesting conversations was, uh, when the Night Sisters were like, "Oh, a Jedi's coming. It's Ahsoka Tano, whatever," and like Thrawn is like, "Oh, I must learn about her and her history. Let me see her art."
Hmm.
Like classic Thrawn.
Yeah.
But he mentioned like, like he didn't know who her master was, which some people thought might be a plot hole. I don't think it is. Like we know that Thrawn interacted with Anakin in the books, at least. And that was after Ahsoka had left the Order, so it's possible he never mentioned that. And then
Hmm.
we know Thrawn obviously has been involved with Darth Vader. But again, why would he have mentioned Ahsoka to Thrawn as Darth Vader? So I don't
Yeah,
think
and
there's anything.
most people don't know who Darth Vader is. Like
Right.
we have to remember like, we know it's easy for us like but in the Empire was very compartmentalized like, and everything was need to know and most people just knew Darth Vader as Darth Vader and he all he did was boss around the Inquisitors. He wasn't even like a Sith, right? Like he was just like a Jedi or something like that. That's what they knew him as, like the Chief Inquisitor. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So it makes a lot of sense to me that he wouldn't know that, but Balin Skull knew that,
Hmm.
but he was also there when the temple fell, so makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, it's interesting that Thrawn, is interested in finding out who her master was and all that stuff. And obviously, that's going to be interesting if we find out more down this path in the next episode. Who knows what they're going to do?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited for the next episode. Like, there's definitely that kind of tension there where you're like, okay, I want to see how, I want to see where they're taking this for sure.
yeah, I feel like this episode was kind of a break, from like the high pace, high intensity episode we had before, but at the same
Mm,
time, there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
Um, I just don't think it was like the best thing ever. I just think it was good. It was just good, and
Yep.
I like everything about the episode. There's nothing I dislike about the episode. Um, it just was good, but it
Yep.
wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't amazing. It was just good. And I think this episode lays a lot of the groundwork for what's to come, which is good.
Yep.
And it makes me more excited for the next two episodes. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The Dathomiri like Night Sisters thing, like I get that a lot of people really like that stuff. I've never really cared about the Night Sisters. Like, okay, cool. They resurrect, or like they brought Savage Opress and all this shit, right?
Yeah.
Like they did all their witchy stuff, and like I'm a big fan of Asajj Ventress. I am a simp for Ventress. I like Asajj Ventress a lot, but
Yeah.
I liked her
Night
before
Sisters are
she was a
cool.
Night Sister.
Night
Uh,
Sisters are Night Sisters are definitely cool. Like I have personal like experience with in Star Wars Galaxies, a game I played a bunch. Like it's a Star Wars MMORPG that I think I should get you started on one day. And
hmm,
you and I could play together. It's actually you would like it because there's you can be like a businessman and like sell like goods and stuff like that and food and like it's you can extract resources and the resources have all their own thing.
bro,
It's
that sounds like so
pretty.
much work.
It is, but it's like fun though because it's in Star Wars, so you can be like a businessman in Star Wars, right? So
Hmm.
that's like the idea, and you can decorate your own house. But there was a lot of uh
Night Sisters.
there was a ton of Night Sister. You can go in Dathomir was one of the planets you can play on. Sorry, my dog's being crazy. I gotta let her out soon. But yeah, you can go in
Yeah.
Dathomir and there's a whole Night Sister quest line you can do, and it's like really fun.
Yeah. Well, I became a fan of Asajj Ventress when I first saw her in the Tartakovsky Clone Wars series.
Hmm.
I thought she was fucking sick.
Oh yeah, no
Um,
that Tarkovsky series. Like, I wish we got that General Grievous instead of the General Grievous we got in episode 3.
Yeah,
Hardcore, bro. That would have been the most visually impressive thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
yeah,
You could even give a
that
fraction of that.
it was sick though. Yeah,
Oh,
but
so fucking cool watching a
um,
murder Jedi, bro.
yeah, I've always been a big fan of Asajj Ventress. I even read Dark Disciple, which is her story with Quinlan Voss trying to
Mm.
assassinate Count Dooku. Uh, love that book, and yeah, been a big fan of hers. So it's not like I hate all Night Sisters. I just I never really cared much for the Night Sisters in Clone Wars and stuff. Like they were just there to help the plot move along. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was all right. So like it didn't connect with me on that level. Like I'm a big fan of Thrawn, but again, like more Mike's. The Thrawn things I like the most are Thrawn in books.
Mm.
And so you
That's because
know
they're really well made. First and foremost is that the Heir to the Empire or whatever that whole
yeah.
trilogy is like they're all really well
Well, there's
written
that,
books.
but then there was also a series. I think it took place way before Heir to the Empire. Well, I mean, I know it did, but it came out recently, like in the past like decade, where it kind of like was Thrawn rising through the ranks.
Mm.
And I read the first one for sure of that. I don't remember if I read the other two. Uh, but yeah, like I think one was called Thrawn Ascendancy. But those books are also very good. So like I've always enjoyed reading about Thrawn, and then in Clone Wars I liked Thrawn, but like
Mm.
again, like he didn't come across, like he didn't have the same impact as he does like when you're reading about him and like the
Yep.
things he knows and things he can do. And maybe that's like the benefit of having like that first person third person narration kind of thing.
Yep.
Whereas like in a TV show it's like not really his point of view, and also like you don't know his inner thoughts and things like that. So yeah, it's much different, but I still like him in Rebels, and I think he's fine here. He's just not like he's not that imposing. He's not like that scary. Um,
Sorry for the cough there.
sorry.
I just sucked in a lot of breath. Yeah, I didn't want to, because this is kind of mean, but the guy who's playing him just doesn't do it for me.
Bro,
I
it's
think that's what it comes down
the
to.
sad
And it
thing
also
is,
it looks like they painted him blue
well,
and
I'm pretty
like
sure they
gave him.
did, didn't they?
Well, they did, but it looks like they painted him blue. Not that he's actually a blue person. Like, they can do those kind of things, right? Like where the skin is more saturated, but it literally looks like they took a blue paintbrush and they just went over with him and they just slapped some red, like, some red eye contacts in him. And his
Yeah,
eyes, aren't his eyes supposed to like glow or something like that? And like, he has like those weird pupils and everything. And
yeah, they
there's
glow
just,
a little bit.
there are things they could have done. And again, that guy should be like 6'8".
Well, for me, it's not any of that. It's like I think he just needs a stronger chin.
Yeah, he
Like
should be 6'8", like, and he should just be really intimidating, and yeah.
yeah, but we can't harp too much on that. Like it's the same voice actor, and so I feel like they're making it work in that aspect.
Mm,
Um, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Like I've always thought that Benedict Cumberbatch would make a good Thrawn.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. Like as we learn more about him here. And again, like it goes back to the question of like, for people who haven't seen Rebels, like does this episode even mean anything to them?
exactly. I think that's another thing. That's another very important question. Because sometimes, again, it feels like an episode of Rebels. Like that's what it just feels like.
Yeah, because I spoke to someone today who's never seen Rebels or Clone Wars, and he said, so what's Thrawn all about? Like, what's his deal? Like who is
Yeah,
he, and like why is he so important? Which the show has done a good job of telling everybody how important he is, right? And he's the heir to the
yeah,
Empire, and so we all understand that. But like at the same time, you're just like, if you've never seen Rebels, you don't understand why you're supposed to be afraid of this guy. Like why? And in this episode, they don't give us any reason to be afraid of him either, other than like our primary goal is to get home. We don't care about Balin and Ezra and all of them. Okay,
yeah,
like, and I've never known Thrawn. Like, I get like I think they were trying to show that he was being tactical when he was like, "Oh, send two squads," and Morgan Elsbeth was like, "You think that'll be enough to like deal with them?" Like, and
mm,
he's like, "Well, our numbers have dwindled. Like, we can't afford to send more." But like, that doesn't make him tactical. That makes him like seem weak.
yeah,
Like Thrawn would never do that, in my opinion. Like, he would have a tactical plan already laid out to make two squads work.
Yeah.
And he would just kind of tell Morgan Elsbeth,
Yeah.
like, let
They
me
could have
deal
done
with
some.
this.
Yeah, there are way better ways to introduce him to convey a sense of power and purpose and everything like that, other than just him walking through his allegiance. My dog is going insane.
Sorry.
Uh, so it's just unfortunate again. Like this episode, like it's not. I want to like it all, but there's issues. I can see them. Like I'm happy that it exists and that it's here, but there's some issues. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, I think it's just personal gripes for me. Like, not like it's not even like a problem. Like, again, like the episode is very good.
Mm,
Like it just did. Like, Thrawn didn't have the impact I expected him to, which could just be because maybe I had too high of expectations. I don't know. But like, or maybe people didn't expect to see him in this episode or something. I don't know, but
mm,
like I knew we'd see him, so it didn't surprise me to see him. And then he didn't do
yeah,
anything beyond that to impress me. So
yeah.
like, yeah, it's cool. It's great to see him in live action. It's like Cad Bane. Like Cad Bane was great to see in live action as well. And at least he did things.
Yeah.
you know. So, but if like Cad Bane
Yeah,
had
he
shown
shot
up,
people. Yeah, he shot one of the main characters that everybody universally liked from oh,
yeah.
yeah,
But if Cad Bane had like shown up and was just like, "All right, it's time to go home. Fuck everybody," like we'd be
yeah.
like, "All right, bro." Like,
He's like, "Hey, I'm Cad Bane. All right, see you
yeah.
later." Captain Rex in that freaking flashback. Hey, it's me, Captain Rex. Oh, I'll see you later.
Yeah, bro, like I hope they don't just do like cameo central with like
I think
Hondo and like
I unfortunately feel like that's all this is going to be. Like I feel like that's what this keeps spilling out to be. Like okay, it's Thrawn. Like Thrawn's like the guy who's been talked about. But I feel like they're just gonna go through all these characters like again and again. I feel like they're gonna kill Ezra. To be honest with you, I just have that sinking feeling that they're gonna kill him in this by the end of the season.
the real question is, are they gonna kill Balin's skull? And if not, like, what do they do with this character moving forward? If they do move forward, because the actor has sadly passed away.
Uh,
Like,
well,
do we think there will be an Ahsoka season 2? I think they've earned a season 2. I think so far the series has been really good.
yeah.
But do we think there will be? I mean, what other story is there to
Wait,
tell aside
all
from
we can
like,
do is wait and see.
right? Like you can do a season 2 of Ahsoka where like Sabine becomes a Jedi, but then it's not Ahsoka anymore. Then it's about Sabine, right?
Mm.
Like, is Ahsoka season 2 gonna be called Rebels season 5 live action?
Feels like it.
Like, it's interesting. It's definitely like interesting to see where they want to go. But yeah, like also like yes, it was good seeing Ezra. I talked about the cadence of his speech, and I feel like he has the right voice to be Ezra.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't see him do anything. Like he's
Yeah.
just there. Like I'll go crazy when I see him like bust out his lightsaber and start doing like crazy new tricks that he never did before. Like that would be really cool, And like again, there was cool things in this episode, and Star Wars is about being cool, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like he didn't do anything. It's just like, oh, we'll help these little turtle snail guys pack up and move. All right,
Exactly, bro. He's Ezra. Like,
like, and again,
yeah,
it
you're
doesn't
right.
make
And like
sense.
we won't really know anything. I think this boils down to is like we won't know what's going on until this whole season is wrapped up, and then we'll be able to see like we'll be able to orient ourselves a little bit better. But like we're just kind of in the middle of everything right now, and you're right. It is weird to introduce these characters that we've all kind of been waiting for, and then just have them not do a damn thing the entire time. You
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it also doesn't make much sense that Thrawn, like the greatest strategist leader of the Empire, like the world has ever seen, like couldn't think of a ploy to draw out Ezra or find him in like 5 years.
Yeah.
And like maybe like that wasn't his primary objective. Maybe he was like just trying to survive, and then he's like, "Well, we'll deal with all this stuff later." Like these loose ends, and like he's working with the Dathomiri witches, but you would have think they'd be able to help. They have like all this foresight and stuff. You know, I don't know. I don't know. It seems like Thrawn would have been able to find Ezra, but maybe maybe he could find Ezra. He just, if he did, he couldn't defeat him by himself, or with his
Yeah.
troops, enough troops or whatever. But even that doesn't make sense because he thinks 2 squadrons is enough to kill him, Sabine, and a previous Jedi in Balin and his apprentice. Like, I don't know. I do not know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens, and I'm definitely looking forward to the final 2 episodes.
Yep.
Anything
I
else
was
on
gonna talk
this?
about. I was gonna talk. No, I was gonna talk about some gamer news, but I don't really got time for that today. So maybe I'll
Yeah.
talk. We'll go over it next week.
Yeah, so we'll wrap up there. I know this is only half hour, so you might be thinking, oh, that's pretty short. But again, we did. This is the second podcast episode, so you'll see this one, and then there's like a it'll be called like bonus episode, and it'll just be like non-nerdy catching up rants, blah blah blah. So yeah, you can check that out if you're interested in that. If not, we're glad that you like nerdy stuff and you're here for Ahsoka, and we'll be back next Wednesday to talk more about Ahsoka. Goodbye.
Bye.